Hi, my name is Nia. I'm a second year PhD student at the University of Pennsylvania, and welcome to episode 2 of How to Get into Your Dream PhD Program. So, the next thing to think about is how to actually build your list of schools. So, this is, I think, one of the most important parts of the whole application process because unlike college, where if you were like me, you kind of just threw every school that you were remotely interested in, even if you weren't interested at all, into a list and applied to all of them on the Common App. It's definitely a lot different for a PhD program because you're really tailoring your application for each program. So I would say before you have any schools actually written down, consider these factors and make your own list of factors as well. Think about your non-negotiables, and then you can add your list of schools together. So the first thing I would say to think about is your stipend, of course. Can you actually live on the stipend that they're going to pay you? And will it actually be feasible for whatever city that school is in? I would say this is the most important thing across the board, but at least for me, this was the most important thing. Second, I would say is location. Location is very important now for grad school. Unlike undergrad, where you were probably in a little bubble, where you had a pre kind of determined community that was built in for you, and maybe you didn't even leave your campus, it's definitely much more important to consider location in the PhD application process because this is potentially 4 to 6 years of you living in a place where you're going to be in the actual city or town that you're living in. You're probably not living on campus. You're going to be meeting more people in that area. And it's just very important to think about. Let's say that I already know for sure I don't want to live in Ithaca. I'm not going to look at Cornell's labs because I know I'm not going to be able to thrive there. No hate to Cornell though. So location is something that I would definitely have very high on your list if it isn't already. I would say the next thing to look at is if you want to be in a more rotational based program or you want to apply straight into a program. So this means, are you already doing your research before you apply and you're already kind of predetermining which lab you're going to join and starting off straight from there? Or do you want to kind of shop around at the labs that you want to look at and join and end up deciding after your first year? The structure is very different for the two, so I would definitely consider what type of structure you want in your first year in terms of shopping versus already knowing what you want to do for your thesis research. Another thing to look at is classes and the class structure. So how many classes are you expected to take each semester? How many semesters of classes are you going to be taking? I've seen most programs are around 2 to 3 years of classes. Some are even a year and a half. And I haven't really seen more than like 3 classes a semester for some programs. But definitely look at those expectations. Are they bulking up most of your work in the first few years, or are they kind of spreading it all throughout the program? And what do you prefer? What's best for your research style? The next thing I would look at is the average time it takes for a student to graduate. If you already know that you want to take a longer amount of time, but they're trying to push students out earlier, that's not going to work with you. Or if you know that you want to finish earlier and they're having students take a lot longer than you expected, that's also not going to work. So definitely look at the average time it takes to graduate, but also this can be dependent on which